In this video, we are reviewing the hearing aids that I have in my ears right now, the Jabra Enhance Select 700. It's the newest product available from Jabra Enhance Select and the newest product available at soundly.com. And in this video, I'm going to talk about everything from the new technology inside of these tiny devices to how the app works and where Jabra Enhance Select fits, in my opinion, into the overall hearing health landscape. I'll also talk about who it's right for, the prices, and who it might not be right for. We'll get into all of that in this video. If we haven't yet met, my name is Blake Cadwell. I'm the co-founder at soundly.com. We're one of the leading destinations for hearing health shopping and research in the United States. I'm also a hearing aid wearer, and I've spent time in over 50 different devices, including these 700s over the last year. I'll talk to you about my own perspective, how the sound quality matches up, and everything else that I've noticed. If you like what you see in this video, we'd appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more people. With that, let's dig in. Okay, so if you've followed Soundly for long, you've probably heard us talk about prior generations of Jabra Enhance Select hearing aids, or the Jabra Enhance Pro, which is available at Costco. So let's start out with just a little bit of background to orient you on where this product fits into the landscape so you understand what we're talking about as we dig into the technology, the setup process, the app, everything else you're about to learn. So Jabra Enhance Select is manufactured and owned by the parent company GN. So GN is a Danish company. They make Resound and Jabra hearing aids. If you go to a local clinic, you'll get hearing aids under the brand name Resound. And if you go to either Costco or you purchase online through a retailer like soundly.com, you'll get the product under the brand name Jabra. Now, in reality, the technology within both brands is very similar. We'll dig into more of that in just a moment. Now, one of the things that makes Jabra Enhance Select so interesting is that the brand really allows retailers like Soundly to split the difference between what's available in a local clinic with customized and programmed devices from a professional with what's available over the counter with something like Sennheiser All Day Clear, which is our current bestseller in the OTC market. Jabra Enhance Select really splits the difference. If you purchase the product at soundly.com, we ship it directly to your home within 2 days. And you have 100 days to decide if it's the right product for you. Of course, if it's not the right product, you simply send it back to us. We can help you figure out a better fit for your particular situation. Once the product arrives, it'll come in a box that looks something like this. You'll pull out your hearing aids, you'll charge them, and inside the box, you'll receive all the instructions that you need to take a quick hearing test, which will then be used to program your hearing aids. And this is the main area that Jabra Enhance Select is different than other OTC players on the market. Their products can be remotely programmed by a professional. So if you purchase Jabra Enhance Select hearing aids through Soundly, you'll upload your hearing test through the setup process, and then an audiologist will actually program remotely your hearing aids, send that program to your devices, and then you'll be operating with professionally programmed devices. Now contrast this to our best-selling product, which is the Sennheiser All Day Clear. These hearing aids are about $1,000 compared to the Jabra Enhance Select 700 at around $2,000. But one key difference is that when you receive the box for this product, the Sennheiser All Day Clear, you'll do the programming yourself via a smartphone app. When we ship you the 700s, an audiologist will actually make the program changes for you after you take a test. So that's one key difference, and it's the main reason that you'll see something like Sennheiser All Day Clear at $1,000 and Jabra Enhance Select at something like $2,000. Now, in our opinion, both routes can have great outcomes. We have a lot of customers who are totally fine to set up their own hearing aids. Often they'll do that on a session with one of our audiologists, but they're pushing the buttons. We also have a lot of customers who've been really happy with the Jabra Enhance Select system, and they like someone making the program changes for them. So that's one really important key difference to understand about the Jabra Enhance Select. The other important thing to understand before we dig into the technology itself is that Jabra Enhance Select 700 is good for folks with mild to moderate hearing loss. So if your hearing test looks something like this at soundly.com, you'll be a great candidate for Jabra Enhance Select 700 or for Sennheiser All Day Clear or another OTC product. If alternatively, your hearing test looks something more like this, then you'll probably want to head into a local clinic where you can get more amplification and work with a local practitioner. Of course, you can head over to soundly.com and take our free hearing test. It takes about 5 minutes. You will need a pair of headphones, and it'll give you a hearing test chart, which will help you understand your level of hearing loss. You can also get in touch with our team. We'll take a look at your results with you, talk to you about the best options on the market. We can also help you weigh the differences between something like Sennheiser and Jabra the trade-offs and whether it might be worth the step up in price. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a sense for where this product comes from and how to think about the process if you do decide to go with Jabra Enhance Select 700. But let's dig into the technology. After all, this is a new product and has some exciting new features inside. So let's just start out with the form factor itself. The Jabra Enhance Select 700 comes with a recharge case. It carries several charges inside of it. The devices are, of course, receiver and canal, which means they have this wire that comes up over the top of the ear and a speaker sits inside the ear, which is where you'll get your amplification. Now, when I drop the hearing aid into the charger, little green lights will turn on. That means the devices are charging. And if I do that each night, I'm finding I get about 30 hours of charge out of each devices. I actually tested this by not putting my hearing aids into the charger overnight. So I let them just sit there running for a full day. I put them in the next day, started wearing them through the morning, and I was ultimately able to get about 30 hours straight inside of these devices. So a really strong rechargeable battery. The other thing to notice is that the size of the Jabra Enhance Select 700 is really small. It's one of the smallest, if not the smallest, receiver and canal devices on the market. If you compare this device to the flagship from Phonak, this is the Phonak Sphere Infinio, which is one of the larger receiver and canal devices, you can see how different these are in size. Jabra is much smaller. That's also true of the sister brand, which looks nearly identical, the Resound hearing aid that you might find in a local clinic. The other important thing to know about Jabra Enhance Select is that they have Bluetooth streaming capabilities with both iPhone and Android. Now, most people at this point are going to use the MFI connection, which is Apple's special connection method that they've built in the settings section, specifically for iPhones. And for most Android phones, you'll follow a similar process, opening up the settings section of your Android device and connecting through the ASHA protocol, which is Google's version of MFI. Now, an interesting note is that Jabra Enhance Select 700 has the capacity to connect through Bluetooth low energy audio and eventually Auracast. Now, for most folks at this point, that's not going to be totally relevant because phones have not totally caught up to streaming through Bluetooth low energy audio. There are a few phones on the Android range that do stream through Bluetooth low energy audio, but Apple has not yet made that switch. So many folks are still going to use MFI and ASHA. What you really need to know is that these devices are compatible with both Android and iPhone, but they have a few trade-offs when it comes to Android phones. If you're really looking for a fully functional device that connects with Android, you might be best off to go with something like Sennheiser All Day Clear because that uses a different connection method called Bluetooth Classic. We cover this more in other videos, and this is also something we can talk through with you if you get in touch with our team over at soundly.com. Okay, so that covers sort of the exterior and some of the main blocks of technology, rechargeability, Bluetooth, etc. But what you might be most interested in is what are the upgrades to sound quality and the sound processing inside of these devices. Now, GN, through their Resound product and their Jabra product, has been working really hard on one specific problem, and that is how do you bring speech to folks in a really complicated background noise environment. Now, this is the main challenge that most hearing aid manufacturers work on because it's the main challenge for folks who wear hearing aids. When I go into a crowded room and there's a lot of background noise, my hearing aids really have to go into overdrive to isolate the voice that I need to hear, bring it to me, and not over amplify other things. So this is one of the hallmarks of quality hearing aids. And for Jabra Enhance Select 700, they're doing a lot to manage background noise. They've done this for the past several generations, including really complex algorithms, directional microphones, things that are ultimately bringing down sudden sounds and bringing up soft sounds. There's a whole kind of complex algorithm universe that are inside of these devices and have been for the last few generations. All right, so now we've covered some of the basics, Bluetooth, rechargeability, etc. But the main thing you might be wondering is how do these hearing aids actually sound in my ears? What am I hearing? How do they manage complex background noise? Are they able to pull out soft voices like the voice of my daughter? Can they manage sudden sounds like the sound of a dish being set down or a door being slammed? These are all the things that I look for when I'm wearing a product and really reviewing and trying to understand how well it functions in my day-to-day life. So what I've noticed so far is that the Jabra Enhance Select 700 retains what I would say is a signature sound for all GN products. So when I wear Resound hearing aids or Jabra hearing aids, they all have a crisp, snappy, assertive approach. So I feel like I'm hearing a lot of crispness, S's, T's, clarity. In many cases, this gives me an increased sense of confidence that I'm catching everything that's being said around me. I also find that, not surprisingly, these devices are really good, even best in class, at managing sudden sounds, wind noise, handling noise. So when I touch the hearing aids, I'm not hearing a lot of my fingers and hair on the devices themselves. They also are great at managing feedback. So even if I cut my ear like this, I'm not getting any feedback at all, which is a signature of really high quality engineering and what I would expect from Jabra and from GN. One area that I haven't been as impressed is in the streaming quality of these devices. So when I actually stream music or even a podcast into my ears, I'm finding that they're one half step behind something like Sennheiser All Day Clear or even Signia Pure Charge and Go on the prescription side. But in general, the sound quality of these devices is top tier. It's really among the best. Now, interestingly, in my ears, I am actually finding a meaningful upgrade between the Jabra Enhance Select 300, which is their older model, and the new 700. When I compare sound quality between what I would think of as the two market leaders in the receiver and canal over-the-counter space, so Sennheiser All Day Clear, which is a little bit less expensive, and Jabra Enhance Select 700, I find that there are differences in the signature of the sound, so just the way that they sound. Sennheiser always sounds a little bit smoother and rounder and maybe more relaxed, whereas Jabra sounds more assertive and snappy, and I hear more of that sharpness and that clarity in the hearing aids themselves. So that's really almost more like wine tasting notes. But what I'm finding is that both devices are able to manage really complex situations pretty well and bring me the sound of voices in a complex background noise environment. Ultimately, if you're deciding between something like Sennheiser and Jabra on the OTC market, I would recommend thinking about how you want to set up the devices. The technology may be quite similar, but if you want to purchase these devices and have a program sent to your home by a professional, Jabra is the way to go. If you want to program them yourself using the smartphone and the support of our team, but you're pushing the buttons, then Sennheiser is probably a better choice. Ultimately, there's also a price difference that you'll have to think about when you're considering the options on the market. All right, so before we wrap up, I want to take you inside the smartphone app for these Jabra Enhance Select hearing aids, show you everything that you can do in the smartphone app, as well as how you get in touch with support once you've purchased and set up these devices. So I'll take you there now. All right, so let's take a closer look at the Jabra Enhance Select app. Now, to set these hearing aids up, you'll want to follow the prompts that are given to you. One of the first things that you'll notice is that you'll need to connect them in the accessibility settings of your phone. So you'll go to accessibility, hearing devices, and then you can see I already have these connected, but you'll connect your devices. This is the MFI connection that I talked about for iPhone users. There's a similar protocol for Android users that you'll be going through. Once you have the app downloaded and connected, your main programs and options will look something like this. So as you swipe, it's going to change the program that you're in. We'll go back to all around. You can see there's a built-in music program. There's also an outdoor program, which will help suppress wind noise and increase the sound clarity in a more open environment. Most folks will probably keep their hearing aids in all around, which are going to change based on the environment that you're in. One of the things that I love about the Jabra app is the sound equalizer. It gives you a couple of interesting ways to impact your overall soundscape. So the first thing you can do is tap speech clarity, and that's going to change the equalizer to give you a bit more snappiness and high frequency sound, basically by turning the mids and the treble up. Now, from there, you can make minor adjustments. So now you're in a custom filter, or you can go back to speech clarity, which is sort of the default that's going to give you more speech. Now, similarly, if you're feeling like your hearing aids are too loud or you need more comfort, you can go to noise filter. That immediately drops away some of the treble sounds, and I feel like this would be a much more comfortable listening experience, especially in a loud environment. If I tap that same filter, all of them will go back to where I started. So these are some of the key features to look at inside of the Jabra app. Now, if you do need support at any point during your journey, so you've bought the hearing aids, you've set them up, you can schedule calls here inside your app. Now, the app doesn't realize I've already done my orientation, so you could actually schedule your orientation here. It'll give you an opportunity to pick one out on a given date. You can also send an email or request a professional adjustment. So here in the professional adjustment section, you can simply send a note to the audiologist that's programming your devices, and you can go through a quick questionnaire and actually ask for a new hearing aid adjustment to be sent to your devices asynchronously. So this is a really cool feature. It's something that is quite unique in the over-the-counter market. The Help tab has a lot of interesting content, which will help you with everything from Bluetooth pairing to what to expect with your devices. The settings section is interesting because it will show you the last program that was sent to your hearing aids. So you can see for me, professionally programmed, installed on 9/17, so about a month ago, and I could request an adjustment right here, which would take me to that same questionnaire. So these are some really great features, a pretty robust app. This gets great ratings from folks who use the app, and it certainly gives you a lot of control over what you're hearing. If you've made it this far in the video and you'd like to try the Jabra Enhance Select 700, you can order them at soundly.com. Again, they come with 100 days. If they're not working for you at any point during that 100 days, you can send them back to our team, try something else, or simply get a hassle-free refund. As a thank you for sticking all the way to the end of this video, if you do decide to purchase Jabra hearing aids on Soundly, you can use code Jabra10. That'll give you 10% off the Jabra Enhance Select 700. We hope this video has been helpful. If you have questions about Jabra, Sennheiser, Bose, Sony, or any other hearing aid on the market, our team would love to talk to you. We talk to thousands of folks every month about their hearing loss, about the options on the market, what might be a good fit for them, and ultimately help them get clear on that next step. You can also take our free hearing test over at soundly.com. It's a great place to start if you're just trying to get smart on the landscape and better understand your own hearing loss. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and good luck with your research.